Hey guys, today we're making Canadian butter tarts. This is a recipe that I just heard about pretty recently actually, and it's just something that I wanted to make. It looked easy, so let's make it. So first things first, we're going to make a pie crust. This is just my regular pie crust recipe. You've seen me make it many times, and recently too with my minced beef pie video and my chicken pot pie video. You just take all-purpose flour, salt, some unsalted butter that I cut into cubes. I just throw it in there, take a fork, and I just press down on them. When your dough has a sand-like consistency, that means it's time for ice water. Go ahead and take your fork and just toss everything around until it looks like everything's starting to stick together. And with that, go ahead and put your fork away, get your hands in there, and it's time to start kneading. And when you're kneading it, you're just going to knead it until you get basically a solid ball of dough, and you're going to make sure that it's nice and smooth and kneaded very well, and you don't have any cracks or any signs of flour. And before you know it, you have the best pie crust ever without having to use a food processor. And what's even better is that you're using ingredients that you probably already have in your pantry. Now, this next part is completely optional. You could either use raisins or chopped walnuts, or just nothing at all. I chose raisins, and I'm going to actually soak them in some hot water. This will help them become more plump and juicy, and I'm going to let it sit for half an hour. Afterwards, I preheated my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and now let's make the world's easiest filling. In a 2-cup measuring cup, I'm combining light brown sugar, maple syrup, some melted unsalted butter, salt, a beaten egg, and vanilla extract. I'm going to take a small whisk and mix everything together until I get a very liquidy batter, but that's okay. Don't worry, this will thicken up in the oven. And this is looking really good. It's a very syrupy looking batter. And you want to make sure it's completely smooth and there's no chunks of brown sugar. Next, we're going to get our muffin tins ready. These are actually a bit smaller than usual. These are 2-inch wide, 1-inch deep. I'm spraying them with some cooking spray just to make sure that they don't stick. I'm just going to rub that in there just to make sure that it's not too greasy. And then I'm going to take a floured surface. I'm going to roll out my dough like I normally do. Make sure that you flour it well so that the dough doesn't stick to the counter. As I take my rolling pin and flatten this out, you want to make sure it is pretty flat, very thin. You want to make sure it's about 1/8 of an inch thick. And don't worry, you don't have to grab a ruler or anything. You can pretty much eyeball it. And I know it may not look like it right now, but this is enough dough to make 24 small individual 2-inch tarts. I'm taking a 2.5-inch round cookie cutter, and I'm going to cut out every single tart that I need. And since pie dough is very forgiving, once you take all these out, you can actually re-roll the extra dough and cut out more pieces. Once all of your rounds have been cut, go ahead and take the extra dough and just peel it away. It should be very easy. And then go ahead and take every single round and just peel it off of the counter. If you floured it well enough, it'll come off very well. And then go ahead and put each one in the mold. And you shape it as best as you can. You want to make this as wide as possible, thin out the ends if you have to, because you want to make sure that the filling is going to be able to fit in there. Once every mold has pie dough, go ahead and put in some raisins in there. I put about 5 raisins in each mold. And then I'm going to pour in all of my filling. And just be careful when you pour it in there, you don't want to overflow. And I originally thought to myself that I was going to have extra filling, but I actually ended up using all of it. So this ended up being the perfect amount for every single one of them. Also, the reason why I used the measuring cup is so that it would be easier to pour the filling into the molds, and I used a spoon to catch the filling just so that it wouldn't get onto the tin. And if that does happen, just go ahead and wipe it with a paper towel like I did. I placed the tins onto a baking sheet lined with tin foil just in case the filling decided to overflow, and then I put this into a 350 degree Fahrenheit oven for 25 to 30 minutes. And after 25 to 30 minutes, they look and smell absolutely amazing. I'm going to let them cool off in their tin for about 30 minutes before I take them out of the molds. And when you do, go ahead and take a butter knife and just go around, and they should pop out easily if you grease them well enough. Thankfully I did, and if I didn't, that would have been very embarrassing. I really love how these look. They're actually kind of cute. I kind of wish that the crust got a little bit more brown, but it's okay. They're baked all the way through, and that's all that matters. But let's try these things. Never had one before. Let's see how they turned out. Before I take a bite, I actually wanted to cut it in half to see the inside. I wanted to see that cross section, so I just got a knife and I cut it in half, and I wanted to see the raisins, and yeah, that's really cool. And obviously the same thing would happen if you had walnuts in there. But let's try this out. This ended up being very delicious. It has a very good maple syrup taste, and all that brown sugar gives it almost a butterscotch flavor, but I'm very happy that I made these. I'm gonna make them again. They're a new favorite in the house now, so make these, guys. I think you'll really enjoy them, and they're very, very easy. Alright guys, I hope you all enjoyed this one. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time.